James, thank you for coming up. We really appreciate the honor you're giving us to grant us this interview. So let's get this off. So the first question I have is, LedgerX has been a company that's about 4 years old, and it has cleared over 1 million options and swap contracts. So I would say that LedgerX is doing very well. So that leads me to wonder what is the major catalyst for LedgerX allowing the acquisition by FTX.
Sorry, what is the question? Because I think you got a little bit of background noise. Sorry, I didn't, hear.
Okay. All right. So the question basically is, what was the major catalyst that that the board of directors at LedgerX considered before being acquired by FTX?
Sure. I guess from our side, because we are the largest shareholder that before the acquisition of FTX. I mean, we think this is probably a kind of win-win situation for both LedgerX and also FTX, because basically FTX have the tremendous kind of experience about operating a successful option and future trading platform, and they seem to try to be legit in US. Then LedgerX is definitely there. There's only 5 licenses issued by CFTC, so that's something that FTX will be happy to get. So it's actually a pretty good things for FTX. And for LedgerX itself, I mean, if Sam and FTX are coming and operating business, it will add a lot of chance for LedgerX to become really a top tier derivative trading platform in US, right? So also this is very good outcome for LedgerX. From our side, because we've been the early supporters in 2017 with Lightspeed, MIH, and a few other investors. So we've been happy to kind of see, this deal to be done. It benefit LedgerX, benefit FTX. From our end, we get some return from the investment. So that's also something we'll be happy about. So it seems like, everyone's happy about the deal. Everyone is getting the things they want. So then when Sam reach out to Zach about it, then it just happens. So that's basically my understanding about it.
All right. So speaking on return on investment, how much did FTX pay to acquire LedgerX?
Yeah, that's a great question. So according to agreement, there's a confidential agreement that we cannot disclose the number as in agreement. So what I can say is a pretty big deal, and about about the number, it's really I think because of the agreement I just cannot disclose it. Sorry about it.
All right, guys, that's fine. That's okay. So everybody is really wondering what the board structure is like now at LedgerX, because you guys put out a publication that is still business as usual, regardless of the acquisition by FTX. So is there any significant changes to the board seat at LedgerX? Maybe there's a new, new members to the board or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. I think it will be a major change on the board, because previously DFG have 2 board seats, basically me and Terry. Myself and Terry are on board. We got other people like the CEO of LedgerX, Zach, and also the chair of LedgerX, Larry, who's also former commissioner of CFTC, also on board. Previously, Jeremy from Lightspeed is on board, but he's no longer on board right now. There's like a couple of new. There's like other board member like Tom from Miami International Holdings and a few independent director. So I think after the acquisition, I mean, basically the investor will probably leave the board, previous investor, but I guess the current management team will stay on board, like Larry, like also Zach, because they are keep doing this, and they're after the acquisition. So I guess there'll be FTX people will definitely come on board. So basically it's a change of the investor, but for the management team, they will be still on board and operating their platform.
Okay, cool. So let's take the spotlight out of LedgerX for a bit. So I want to ask, in your own opinion, what do you think the regulatory climate for cryptocurrencies all over the world is like? Do you think that regulation is going to stifle development in countries like America and in the United Kingdom, or do you think that the cryptocurrency space needs maybe a little bit of regulation, just, not so much rigid regulation, but just more like an oversight. So what do you think about cryptocurrency regulations really?
Yeah, overall speaking, I would say this is super positive. I would say, once the crypto market become much bigger, then, the regulation will definitely come. Previously, like in 2017, it's way too small for the regulation to even take a look at it, right? Right now, it's a $2 trillion, overall market cap for this things. Then it's still small. I mean, compared to gold or other much bigger asset. I mean, but still, it's already big enough for the regulation to come. So I think US is pretty positive, I would say. Although you will see the recent news like Coinbase with SEC, all this kind of stuff, but it's like just a signal for the government to come in and take a look at all these kind of details and what is happening right now. What is the best way to really kind of regulated market, right? So I guess it's super complicated. You got CFI service, which is relatively clear, because basically you are doing custody for other people's assets, then you can fit into the current financial system and using the existing rule to regulate all these kind of business, right? So just like LedgerX is regulated by CFTC, and but if it's refer to protocols or DeFi, it's very hard to define, right? It's like a Bitcoin is easy, it's definitely a commodity. But if you have like a staking, like, for example, like Return 2.0 and like other, kind of staking new protocols, then it takes time for the regulator to give a clear definition about it. And also about the DeFi is much harder to understand, because basically they don't do custody for everybody, right? So you are managing your own asset, but there's a protocol there which can provide a financial service, right? How to regulate this is a problem. But overall speaking, once I guess the government have taking a look at the details, they will figure out a way to regulate the business. I think it's just a matter of time. And speaking of the jurisdiction, I mean, US is definitely positive. We will see other, good kind of, I mean, it's not about Western country. Also in the market of Asia, you will see very early mover like Middle East, like Singapore, like Hong Kong. They move pretty quickly about issuing the license to different entity and make sure their business like exchange and others are legit, right? So I think that's, overall, I think it's still a very long path for the regulation to become mature, but really people are starting doing that. So it's very positive. So far, from my understanding.
Right. Thank you for that. So, James Wu, you also are the CEO of DFG, that's the Digital Finance Group. So I wanted to ask, what led to you opening up the DFG? Like, what was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, sure. Great question. It's, I think it's basically 2013 I start to trade cryptos. I mean, at that time, it's all about Bitcoin. There's only Bitcoin and Litecoin. So I start trading about cryptos and I start to dig into the research of it. And I feel like this is pretty interesting and maybe fitting to can fix the problem of the traditional financial system, and at least a part of the problem maybe. So I dig into it and feel like this is something I'm willing to fully committed to do in the future. Then in 2015, sorry, I started a business called DFG, which is, I'm from a financial background. So I just, I think what, kind of makes more sense to me or suitable to me is starting an investment firm which supporting the entrepreneur in this industry become mature and contribute to the industry. So I started this company called DFG back to 2015, fully committed to it and from the investment perspective. So we start with equity investment first, because at that time, basically there's not an idea of the tokens. It's all about the use cases of exchange and around Bitcoins and very few like also other sector, including mining and a few others. So we invest in companies like Circle, LedgerX, Brave, SK, Unocoin, Beso, Repio, Blog, and a few others. I mean, just start with that, and we dig into the industry, start with active investment. Then in 2017, we start shifting a little bit because at that time, ICO become popular. Then the idea of token came out. It's the industry become more mature. It's not just about the use cases between Bitcoin and you have all kind of protocol came out, all kind of use application and user application infrastructure came out. So we decided to shifting our focus a little bit. We continue to invest in the CeFi business for actually like recently we do Amber Group and Coinlist, Republic, and a few others. But on the other hand, we are spending more time or capitals on the token side. So we invest into protocols like the Near, Polkadot's, Avalanche, and a few others. Polkadot is definitely one of the most strategic investment I would say in our firm, and being pretty diversified on different kind of ecosystem and on the trading side. So that's basically I would say the history of our firm and why I kind of how I start doing this.
All right, so quick one. Let me take you back to a question for LedgerX real quick. So LedgerX basically is in the business of the features and options aspect of features and options trading for what's it called, cryptocurrencies. And FTX acquired LedgerX. It's strategic for them because of the licenses you guys have. So it's easy for them to tap into the US market because they are CFTC regulated, because LedgerX is CFTC regulated. So it gives FTX their, their clientele and much the access to the US market basically with the LedgerX licenses. So what is, how am I going to put it? What is the innovation behind, what LedgerX is doing currently to help or to make their products more attractive than other platforms that are already currently offering what's it called, options trading for cryptocurrencies or features trading for cryptocurrencies? Because on the news, Coinbase is actually going into that venture. They already announced that they're trying to acquire some licenses to get into that venture. So what is LedgerX going to do to make their product stand out more than the other competitors in the market?
Yeah, sure. I think that's a super great question. I guess LedgerX, first of all, I think still in early stage of about become super big in the future. So there's a few things that I guess LedgerX will do in the future. The first is like you're listing more coin, because right now LedgerX just lists Bitcoin, right? But if you want to list a new coin, you definitely need to get approval. But I mean, Ethereum, others, DeFi protocols, which is legit in the future, legit coins that you can definitely try to list it and try to expand through the listing. Because basically right now you can only trade Bitcoin, and so as the other option trading exchange, right? So, but it makes sense probably for you to offer the product of Ethereum in the future, right? So that's one dimension that definitely LedgerX will do, I guess. The other is more related to the product, because on the option trading platform right now, it didn't all offer leverage trading, but in the future, maybe LedgerX will offer more leverage trading within their, definitely with all the risk control system or mature risk control system. So that's the other dimension that you are going to offer a different kind of product to the institutional investor as well. The other thing I would say is LedgerX, because basically there are two things. The first is about the option trading platform. The others, we still have Ledger Prime. Ledger Prime is also a trading fund which raise money from the LPs and do different trading, also doing investment. And that kind of fund actually doing super well this year. So I think it makes sense for Ledger Prime to scale a little bit and become a much bigger fund in the future. So in different kind of dimension, I think LedgerX will kind of keep doing that and make sure the trading volume of the platform become big, and also on the other hand, make sure the asset they manage become big as well.
All right. So does LedgerX have any plans to expand, or even your company DFG, do they have any plans to expand to Africa, or do you guys already have clients in Africa? The reason why I'm asking this is because Africa is one of the pioneering continents for cryptocurrency adoptions. Countries like Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa. So I wanted to know if you guys have plans to, maybe establish a kind of product in the region, despite the current regulatory uncertainty surrounding the cryptocurrencies in countries like Nigeria, for example?
Yeah, sure. I think, LedgerX previously focused on the US market, but I do think LedgerX definitely have the plan to expand to Asia, like Singapore and other jurisdictions. But for Africa, I think, the company can take step by step, right? Once they, expand a little bit outside, then they can think about more other jurisdictions. I think that's definitely within the radar of the long-term plan of LedgerX, just expanding the business outside the US and try to be a more global kind of option trading platform. I think that's definitely something LedgerX will do in the future.
So what about for DFG? Do you guys have clients in Africa, or do you guys just, yeah?
Yeah, sure. DFG, we have basically office in Shanghai, Abu Dhabi, and also kind of Singapore as well. So we do plans to expand to, because we are focused on Asian market right now, at least our employees, but we do have the plan to expand to establish office outside the Asian market.
All right, that's great. So let me ask you, what are your top 5 cryptocurrencies?
Top 5, it's it's a good question to ask. I mean, my first, I'm not sure you're aware of, but I'm really a big believer of Polkadot. So I guess, one reason I hold so many tokens, I'm big, early stage supporters and hold the tokens so far, never sell. So that's something I'm pretty bullish on. I think, of course, there are other layer 1 like Solana, Terra become, near Avalanche as well becomes super good these days. But I guess Polkadot is still the one have a lot of great potential in the future to grow. I would definitely say that. And within that ecosystem, there's a lot of top tier project like Akala, A-Star, and top tier, like top 5 Polkadot project. I mean, I'm really a big fan of that. Speaking of the other layer 1 protocol, Kusama is definitely one, because it's basically, it's still, I mean, to some degree, still in the Polkadot ecosystem, but I think it will be more independent in the future with different kind of functionality and build on top of that. I'm also a big fan of this. Yeah, I mean, that's basically, I mean, I'm so bullish on this protocol, so it's very hard for me to mention about the others. I do think others have great potential, maybe near, maybe a few others, but I really, for myself, I'm pretty much, kind of bullish on the Polkadot and its own ecosystem.
All right, I guess that's it from my end. Tayo, do you have any questions?
No, none from my end actually. I'm good.
All right, so James, thank you so much for coming on Nairametrics. We really do appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions. And Meryl, thank you so much also for setting this up. I guess
absolutely.
Alex also, thank you so much.
And if you need anything else on my end, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, James. Definitely will be in touch of this.
Yeah, thank you both for taking the time, and nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah.